Today, let's make your sugar detox 10 times easier using the knowledge that I gained during my degree in nutrition and dietetics, and also from my personal experience doing a sugar detox over the last 9 months. What I'm going to teach you today will make your cravings disappear in no time at all, and all you have to do is follow a very simple meal formula that I'm going to give you today, and I'm also going to walk you through each component of this meal formula, just because I feel like if you really understand why everything is there, it might help it stick a little bit more. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So let's just briefly go over one of the main reasons that we even get sugar cravings in the first place. And I won't spend too much time on this because I did go into this stuff a lot deeper in the last video in this series. So I'll link that below and you can go check that one out after this if you didn't see it yet. But basically, there are a few different reasons why we get sugar cravings, but today we're just going to focus on one of them. So for today, we're going to talk about your gut bacteria, and they are a huge driver of sugar cravings. So just basically, in your gut, you have some beneficial bacteria and some more harmful bacteria. And the more harmful bacteria are the ones that make you crave sugar. So whichever type of bacteria you have more of depends on which ones you're feeding. So basically, sugar feeds those bad bacteria, and whole foods, fiber mostly from like whole foods, is what feeds your good bacteria. Reasons to feed your good bacteria: they're responsible for a huge amount of the serotonin that you make. So you will literally feel just more happy simply from eating more fiber from whole foods. They also give you a very protective gut lining, so that way you are able to absorb the nutrients from the food that you eat. And they do a whole host of other amazing things like boost your immune system and so many more things. We'll keep going over that stuff as we go through the series. But what sugar does when you feed your bad bacteria, that will weaken your immune system. It'll make you age faster and worse. It'll lead to weight gain, leads to lots more inflammation. So when you eat sugar, you are feeding those bacteria, and when they get fed, they are able to multiply, right? So whichever bacteria you feed is the one that will multiply. And the reason this creates such strong cravings is because those bacteria want to survive, right? And they understand, they know that when you eat sugar, they survive and they thrive, and that's what they want. So they're going to create such strong feelings of cravings in your body so that they can get fed and thrive. And that's obviously not in your best interest because it has all of those kind of harmful effects that we talked about. So what we're going to focus on is not feeding the bad bacteria and feeding the good bacteria. And that's where the meal formula comes in. So let's start getting into that right now. Okay, so like I said, the meal formula is super simple. It is literally fiber, protein, healthy fats. Super simple, right? I think that's something that we've all kind of heard a lot, but let's go a little bit deeper into this so that you can really understand why each of those is important and why you really need to have each one of those at each meal. Because if you don't, doing a sugar detox is going to be way harder, and you might feel hungrier, which will lead to sugar cravings. And then also you might lean more on carby or sugary foods, which will feed those bad bacteria and lead to more cravings. So setting your meals up like this with fiber, protein, and fat will help with all of that. So let's dive into the fiber first. So super simple, fiber we are getting from whole food sources only. So to successfully do a sugar detox, one thing that is really important is that most of your meals, most of your food, like 90% at least, is coming from whole food sources. So really fill yourself up on things like vegetables, lentils, nuts, seeds, basically all of your really high nutrient density plant foods. Load those up like 75% of your bowl or plate at every single meal. This has a few benefits. First, that's really feeding those good bacteria. So if you're starting with that at every single meal, if you have that in every single meal and then you start with that, like you eat those foods first, that's going to really feed those healthy, good gut bacteria. And also, all of that fiber is going to line your whole digestive tract with this sort of like viscous substance. So any carbs that you do eat after that will release into your bloodstream a lot slower and give you a lot less of a blood sugar and insulin spike. That whole blood sugar thing is something we're going to go into in the future in this series. I think the next video will be on that, but for today we'll focus on the gut bacteria, but hang on to that one, more on that stuff later. Okay, next is the protein, which is everyone's like favorite topic these days, has been for a while now. Protein has been very raved about for a long time now, which is good in many ways, but I do want to say I don't think you need to overdo it. So I think most people, unless you're like a professional athlete or actively trying to build tons and tons of muscle, most people don't really need a supplement. So I think most importantly, first and foremost, get your protein from whole food sources. So like tofu, eggs, your nuts and seeds, some meat if you eat it, that kind of stuff. Fill up on that stuff first. And then if it feels really hard to get a lot for some reason, or if you are extremely active, then add in like a protein bar or a protein shake, some sort of supplement. But I don't think you need to run out and buy a lot of like protein products to have success in something like this, or even just for long-term health and your eating habits in general. You always want to fill up on whole foods first, because you're getting so many more micronutrients with your whole food sources that are coming along with that protein. So fill up on that first and top off with a supplement if you feel like you really need it. Okay, so let's get into healthy fats. So healthy fats will not only feed and promote the growth of good bacteria in your gut, but also those healthy fats will be used to make the cell membranes of some of the bacteria in your gut too, some of those good bacteria. And also, those healthy fats will be used to make the cell membranes of all of the cells in your body. And this is so important. This is kind of a little side note, but the type of fat that your cell membranes are made of will determine how well not only that cell, all the cells in your body, are able to function on their own, but also how well they're able to communicate with other cells in your body. So for example, a cell membrane that is made with unhealthy fats will become what we call more rigid. And this is going to make it hard for hormones, which are the chemicals that your body uses to communicate with different parts of itself. It'll make it hard for hormones to go in or out of those cells. So essentially, your body is going to be missing out on a bunch of signals that it otherwise would have gotten if your cell membranes were made up of healthy fats. So your body just literally won't be functioning as well as it could be if, again, those cell membranes were made up with healthy fats rather than unhealthy fats. Okay, that was somewhat of a tangent, but let's pull it all back together and give you some rapid fire ideas for healthy fats to add into your meals. So, healthy fats, again, whole food stuff. We're thinking avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts, seeds, nut butter, that kind of stuff. Fish oil supplements, or even just eating fatty fish like salmon a couple times a week. All of those are good options for healthy fats. And the unhealthy fats that you want to avoid at all costs are especially seed oils try not to eat any seed oils if you can avoid it. So any type of seed oil. So if you are looking at packages in the store, which hopefully you don't have to do too much of if all of your food for the most part is like whole food sources, right? But if you do have to look at packages and you see any sort of seed oil, just put it back. You don't need it. It's bad for your body. It's going to cause more inflammation. Your cells won't function as well. There's no need for it. Just put it back. There are a lot of like healthy seeming things on the shelves, like snacks and whatever, just products that seem pretty good, and you look at the ingredient list and it's pretty good. Honestly, sometimes it's like all the way good, except they just have some seed oils in there. And I'm just like, why? I mean, I know why. It's a whole industry thing, but still, it's unnecessary. I mean, obviously, if you eat a little bit here and there, it's not a big deal. But if we're talking about your daily meals, things you're eating all the time, you do want to avoid those things. So keep a lookout for that. So that's seed oils, definitely canola oil. Avoid that at all costs. And also anything fried in oil. So that's pretty much any fried foods. And again, this doesn't have to be like you never eat anything fried again. But if we're talking about meals you're eating regularly, like maybe if you're in the habit of getting French fries once a week or something, and you're trying to do something like a sugar detox, or really, truly, genuinely wanting to be healthier for now and the long term, that just may be something to think about. It may be something that's going to hold you back in the long term and the short term, honestly. And then, of course, just being aware of too many saturated fats from animal products like butter or red meat. Those fats do have some health benefits, so I don't think it's necessary to avoid them altogether, but keep them at a minimum. You want most of the food you eat to be whole food, fibrous sources. Remember, again, lentils, vegetables, that kind of thing. And the healthy fats, if it's something like avocado and olive oil, big dollop on top. If it's something like red meat or butter, small dollop on top. Okay, so build your plate exactly like this at as many meals as humanly possible so that you really set yourself up for success all the way down to the physiological level. And having this fundamental understanding of what's going on physiologically when it comes to sugar and how it affects your gut bacteria and your different brain pathways and all this kind of stuff is what makes the difference between people who can truly do a sugar detox and even long term completely like break free from sugar and feel no need to eat it anymore. It's having that understanding that makes the difference. So if you haven't seen my video yet where I go into much more detail about all that stuff, I will link it here and down below so that you can go check that out next and really get your fundamentals down. I'll see you there.